Welcome. My name is Sundar Bharadwaj. I'm a Coca-Cola Chair, Professor of Marketing at the Terry College of Business at the University of Georgia. I also am a Senior Research Scholar at the Indian School of Business, or ISB. And today I'm going to talk about designing a winning modern marketing organization. And it's based on research that we've been doing for a while, and you'll see the details in a minute or two. I'd also like to thank MMA India for giving me this opportunity to present research results, which hopefully you find exciting and novel and something that you can utilize in your jobs. Let me set a little bit of the background. Marketing today is super exciting, different from what it's been in the past for several reasons. One, marketing now needs to compete both in a traditional brick and mortar space and the digital space. And two, a big sort of change that you're sort of seeing is that data is really enriching marketing. And this data from customers, from competitors, from commercial and non-commercial stakeholders comes in various forms. It's numeric data from purchase data of consumers, as well as text text, audio, and visual data that comes from various social media and other sources, all of which is available in real time and providing tremendous opportunities for companies to utilize that to help design exciting marketing offerings for customers and compete in the marketplace. Along with that, the upside comes with enormous challenges. One, there are evolving customer expectations. Customer expectations are not just formed from experiences in particular industries, but these expectations get formed and transferred from other experiences customers may have in other industries. So setting up lots of new dynamic and evolving expectations. You need to compete on both digital and physical spaces, which calls for, rather than being separate and equal, it's more about omni-channel, that customers switching back and forth across these channels as they traverse their journeys. Increasingly, customers are also more demanding on social and political dimensions that firms that can get involved in. So brand purpose becomes more and more critical. Lots of new competitors, not just from existing players, but also new to the marketplace. Digital natives entering the marketplace and changing the nature of businesses. The collaborative requirements have grown tremendously. You've got marketing departments that vary across from your more foundational and traditional integrated marketing, communication, advertising product groups to more into performance marketing and more predictive analytics sort of groups. So you have a mix of people who come from varied fields. So increasingly, for winning marketing organizations, marketing is not just the modern marketing organizations. Marketing is not just about a single function, but really a coalition of functions getting together to compete in the marketplace. And clearly the last thing is we talked about different types of data that increases this notion of structured and unstructured data and the data avalanche that companies need to sort of manage and utilize and draw insights and capitalize and succeed in the marketplace. So lots of interesting new challenges that emerge as a result of this. But the single biggest challenge that as marketing, with the responsibility being to deliver growth and profitable growth to customers, that being the key drive. Let me talk through what that means. So what I'm going to talk through today is the results of some empirical work. The conceptual idea behind it was already published in the November-December issue of the HBR. So if you haven't had a chance to read it, please go ahead and look for this piece in a fairly recent HBR published, which we labeled as "Is Your Marketing Ready for What's Next?" So I'm presenting some work with a bunch of my colleagues where we looked at how do we sort of compete in a marketplace. What I'll present today is actually an extension of this work where we bring in a lot of empirical data to substantiate some of the findings. So I'll spend time for the rest of this presentation uncovering the anatomy of a winning marketing organization. So you'll see this term WMO throughout this talk, and you'll see a comparison term, and which is lagging marketing organizations. So I'll compare winning marketing organizations and lagging marketing organizations on three dimensions. One is what is the structure of winning marketing organizations compared to lagging marketing organizations? What are the roles and responsibilities of winning marketing organizations relative to lagging marketing organizations? And then what's a path to becoming a winning marketing organization? So I'll conclude with describing a pathway to becoming a winning marketing organization. So where is this study coming from? The data basically is from a benchmark study that we have available at this site called marcaps.com/research. which some of you may have participated. If you haven't, it'd be a great idea for you to go in and participate and populate this data. All the analysis is based at the aggregate level. No individual firm is sort of identified and analyzed. So it's largely done it's completely done at the aggregate level. The data for this study that I'm going to present today comes from across the globe. 70% are from the US, 30% from outside the US. Firms sort of are varied in sort of age. 75% are firms that were formed prior to 2000. 25% are younger and newer firms post 2000. They vary across industry sectors. There's a B2B, B2C, and firms competing in both B2B and B2C. And a significant variation both in terms of size and number of employees. About 471 odd firms, with 79 of them publicly traded US firms. And that's useful for some of the metrics that we're going to see in a bit here. So let's start off with some terms. How do I distinguish between winning marketing organizations and lagging marketing organizations? I look at 6 different metrics, 3 of which capture the economic growth, satisfaction with economic growth, 3 of which capture satisfaction with customer growth. In economic growth being, the ability to achieve revenue and profit goals, the ability to deliver new growth for the organization, the ability to sort of measure and deliver and optimize marketing return on marketing investments. On customer growth side, it's about engaging customers and building brand equity. It's about the ability to personalize to customers and delivering convenience and enjoyment across the customer journey. So if a firm scored, these are measured on a 7-point scale. So if a firm scored 6 or 7 on the 7-point scale, the satisfaction scale across all these dimensions, then they were treated as a winning marketing organization or a WMO. Firms that scored between a 1 and a 3 or a 3 and below on all of these dimensions were treated as lagging marketing organizations, right? So that's really the separation between winning and lagging marketing organizations. And it's across dimensions of economic and customer growth. Together, we're going to label it firm growth. So why do we really care? We care because organizations with strong marketing capabilities achieve high growth. And I'll talk a little bit about what capabilities mean in a little bit. So if you compare organizations with low capability fit, marketing capability fit versus organizations with high marketing capability fit, the difference in terms of growth, defined before as economic and customer growth, is a ratio of 2.85x. So it's significant difference between the two groups, and that's why we should care. So let's try and understand what this rule means as we follow. How do we sort of get there? So to talk about the structure of winning marketing organizations, as I said before, I'll focus first on structure, then I'll focus on roles and responsibilities, then I'll talk about the anatomy. So let me start with the structure of the winning marketing organizations. Fundamentally, winning marketing organizations are more customer-centric. They also are a lot more decentralized in their decision-making, and we'll elaborate on this as well. And they're a lot more externally connected. They're just not internally, they just don't draw on internal capabilities, but they're externally connected in terms of getting capabilities where and when necessary. And let's talk about what distinguishes them in a bit here. So fundamentally, let's talk about structure. Winning marketing organizations significantly more customer structure, which means that they're structured around customer segments and on outcomes that measure customers, which is acquisition and retention of customers, compared to lagging marketing organizations. Lagging marketing organizations tend to be more product structured, tend to be more expertise structured, which is more internal structure, whereas winning marketing organizations are more externally structured towards customers. The second thing about winning marketing organizations is that they have multiple structures in the organization, which gives them a matrix type structure, whereas lagging marketing organizations are less matrix or less complexly structured, right? The second attribute of winning marketing organization that we see in our research is that they tend to be a lot more decentralized in terms of decisions regarding budgets, in terms of decisions regarding products and services that they offer the marketplace, and in terms of marketing program decisions compared to lagging marketing organizations. Lagging marketing organizations don't decentralize a lot. They're very centralized in terms of the decisions that they make. And it's a big distinction between winning and lagging marketing organizations. The third thing that we see about winning marketing organizations, as I said before, as far as structure is concerned, they're a lot more engaged with the outside ecosystem. So they tend to outsource a bunch of their activities compared to lagging marketing organizations. So if you look at what they outsource engagement activities, exchange activities, and experience activities. And I'll define that in a minute here. And some of you who read the HBR clearly know what this sort of means, but fundamentally, in every different way, they outsource. If you look at lagging marketing organizations, the only area where you see some significant outsourcing for lagging marketing organizations is with regard to engagement activities. And engagement activities, in a minute, as I'll refer later, refers to activities with regard to advertising, PR, sponsorships, the usual work with agencies, the foundational or traditional marketing activities. But if you look at winning marketing organizations, they tend to outsource across the spectrum, so they draw on expertise where and when needed for their organization. So let me try and explain what this three types of value creation means. So in the HBR piece that I described, published in the November-December issue of 2020, what you'll find is that we contend that there are two broad ways in which firms, marketing organizations, create value for firms. One is by creating value for customers. The other was creating value, equally important, creating value for the firm. For today's talk, I'll focus primarily on the customer value side. So fundamentally, for the customer value, you can create value in three ways. You can create value with what we call as exchange value. Exchange value means really the ability to match offerings to individuals' needs and the context of consumption in ways that facilitate transactions. So really matching, which means your ability to personalize and customize offers to customers, is how you create values by exchange value. The other means by which marketing organizations can create value for customers is through experience value, which is by minimizing the pain points and frictions across the journey, so that you're increasing convenience and enjoyment throughout the customer journey in interaction with your organization. The third means by which you can create value for customers is what's called engagement value. Here you're deepening and expanding the meaning, building the community and promise around the organization. This is by your traditional brand building, storytelling activities that you're doing using various IMC type activities to deepen the meaning of your brand that enables you to grow and create value for the customer. So given these three different aspects, if you go back and look at outsourcing activities, outsourcing in general is lower, but winning marketing organizations tend to outsource a lot more, and they outsource across experience, engagement, and exchange, which means they do across a whole variety of activities, all the way from journey management to customer relationship management to pricing to products and so forth. Whereas if you look at lagging marketing organizations, it's very heavily centered around advertising, PR, sponsorship management. That's fundamentally where their outsourcing activities happen. If you look at the responsibilities of winning marketing organizations, the first thing that I want to draw here is to destroy the myth. Our research finds that it's not about digital activities that distinguish winning and lagging marketing organizations. In fact, what we do find is that they're fundamentally more involved in customer experience. They tend to deliver a lot more personalization, engagement, which is building the brand, storytelling, PR, sponsorship, and so forth, is just sort of their base camp, which is if you look at it as motivation hygiene factors, it's fundamentally hygiene factors as is concerned. So a little more detail on this. If you go look at the extent to which they're involved in digital activities, both winning and lagging marketing organizations are about equally involved. So really, that's not what distinguishes winning marketing organizations. So both sets of organizations have transitioned their activities to digital space quite well and are competing in both spaces. It's not digital, it's what they do with the digital that matters. So winning marketing organizations tend to do a lot more digital activities around engagement and experience, which is they deliver value through matching offers to specific customer needs, do a better job of personalization, and do a better job of delivering convenience for customers across omni-channel interactions that they have. Whereas if you look at lagging marketing organizations, they're about engagement. They manage agencies, PR agencies, ad agencies, sponsorship agencies, and so forth. That's fundamentally where their activities, their roles and responsibilities are tied, which means that in terms of winning, which on the outcomes that matter, the growth and the economic growth and the customer growth matters, winning marketing organizations do activities that are more meaningful to drive those activities. Lagging marketing organizations tend to do a lot more of activities that don't add as much value. So they basically focus towards more hygiene factors rather than differentiating factors. And in fact, what you also see is that winning marketing organizations tend to do a lot more customer facing as opposed to non-customer facing activities, but really both set of activities, they tend to do more than lagging marketing organizations. And the other important thing to draw about that I talked about, the fact that they cut across experience and engagement and exchange and so forth. What you do find is that winning marketing organizations cut across a span of areas. Whether it's on digital services, it's about pricing, without sales team, without product research, without product delivery. They span across a whole spectrum of areas as growth drivers, whereas lagging marketing organizations tend to focus more on community, on public relations, sort of traditional sort of activities. And the way to think about these three different activities, exchange, experience, and engagement, is to think of them in terms of stacks. And what you find is that winning marketing organizations compete on multiple stacks. They compete on exchange, they compete on experience, they also compete more fully on engagement as well. Whereas if you go look at lagging marketing organizations, they tend to be more narrowly focused, more heavily focused on engagement, and less so on other stacks. Right? So that's big distinction. If you look at the percentage of firms here that are there, you can see that winning marketing organizations are multiples of lagging marketing organizations. Right? The other thing to look at is winning marketing organizations. If you dive down a little bit detail, winning marketing organizations, they see the avalanche of data coming in, but they're very good at converting the data into insights. Insights regarding marketing investments, insights regarding making the journey more enjoyable for customers as they traverse the customer journey, both in terms of using predictive analytics, machine learning, and AI to build predictive analytics, using the data to train the data into building these sort of models that predict the offerings that customers sort of need across decision stages. So they're really good at converting data into insight and into action. And that's a big distinction between winning and lagging marketing organizations, right? And it's a bunch of diverse set of skills across a whole variety of marketing activities. And so what matters most to winning marketing organizations is this experience, delivering experience to customers, delivering the ability to personalize for customers. It's also a balance of foundational and new skills. Foundational skills being, optimizing traditional marketing mix decisions and optimizing media decisions, at the same time leveraging machine learning and AI to use the data to personalize, deliver convenience, and a whole bunch of activities. They also focus on talent. Talent is very critical for them, and these new data and new capabilities that require in the marketplace, their ability to hire, retain, and nurture such talent is much more better, and they compete on multiple areas of value, right? What they less value a little bit is engagement, is traditional foundational activity, and to my disappointment, less so on social purpose and sustainability. But I think that's going to change in the future. That's what we see now. And it's different from lagging marketing organizations. They focus on data, but not converting data into insights, right? So the big distinction is about getting the data as opposed to figuring out what insights, what knowledge, what wisdom can we draw on it. Talent is not prioritized in this. Exchange, which is matching to customer specific needs, and personalizing product offering is missing. So they also focus a lot more on tasks that need to be done internally as opposed to customers. Right? That's the big distinction. And external talent is not prioritized, and external capabilities are not prioritized in lagging marketing organizations. So now we've talked about the structure, we've talked about the roles and responsibilities of winning marketing organizations. And so really, if you're keen on figuring out what it takes to become a winning marketing organizations, let's talk through the pathway to becoming one. Right? First, find out what matters to your organizations in the next 2 to 3 years. Not today, not yesterday, but in the future, the next 2 to 3 years. The second thing is go and figure out how well you perform on those attributes today. What are the requirements in the future? How well do I perform on those requirements? Do I have the capabilities to meet those requirements for the future? And then focus on strengthening the gap. The first thing, what matters gives you the importance. How well you do currently gives you your performance. The gap between the importance and the performance gives you a measure of fit. The lower the gap, the higher the fit. The higher the gap, the higher the lack of fit. So why is fit important? On average in our database of 470 odd companies, we find that the average fit between importance and performance of marketing capabilities is about 72.5%. So that's the average. So let me give you a little bit of context to it. you look at winning marketing organizations, the fit levels are significantly higher. It's about 86%. But lagging marketing organizations are statistically significantly lower at 53%. The average is 72%, lagging marketing organizations at 53%, winning marketing organizations are at 86%. So it gives you a little bit of context in terms of fit between the gap in fit between winning and lagging organizations. Why does that matter? It matters because the higher the fit, the higher the revenue growth. Here I'm taking data from the publicly traded firms. I'm taking real data, the change in sales between 2020 and 2019. That's your y-axis, that's your growth rate. The x-axis is the capability. And what you do find is that there's a linear fit. Basically, after controlling for other factors, this is not just a simple correlation. This is a model where you're controlling for other factors that could drive growth. Things such as size of the firm, things about the age of the firm, the investments they make in R&D and advertising, the intensity of competition, the industries to which these firms belong. So after controlling for all those other characteristics, what you find is a 1% improvement in marketing capability fit leads to a 2.5% increase in sales growth. And this is sales growth between 2019 and 2020. No, this is the pandemic year. Even in a pandemic year, you find that a 1% improvement in marketing capability fit leads to a 2.5% increase in revenue growth fit. So let me take this a little bit further and take it into market value. This is the market value of the firm, and these are metrics that really matter to the CXO. Marketing is usually charged with delivering growth, and I'm arguing that marketing can also claim to deliver market value changes. And what we do find is firms that have higher fit, after controlling for again the various activities, the investments in R&D and advertising, the size of the firm, the growth of the firm, the intensity of competition, and industry, which industries you belong to capture characteristics that we haven't captured yet with industry presence. What you do find is a 1% improvement in marketing capability fit is associated with a 2.35% increase in market value of firm. And that's significant. And this is a metric as a marketing leader you can take to your CX meeting, your next meeting with the CFO and the CEO for budget meetings. This is a number you can take. This is a chart you can take into these arguments. And if they ask for marketing expenditure cuts, argue for why the expenditure should be made if it can drive this kind of valuation in market firms. So let me summarize. So what are the characteristics of winning marketing organizations? They're structured externally around customers and customer outcomes. They typically have more complex org structures than just being around a product and functional expertise. They're a lot more decentralized in their decisions, product, programs, and budgets. Greater tendency to draw on external expertise. They draw on a diverse set of marketing capabilities and basically deliver personalization and convenience, not just limited to traditional foundational activities of advertising and integrated marketing communications. They develop a high degree of alignment for the capabilities that matter for future performance. We saw that marketing capabilities lead to these outcomes. They drive growth, customer, financial market value by leveraging the possibilities of today with the possibilities that's occurring, agility, technology, analytics, and societal value. So where should you go next? Given that you've seen the research, you've seen the drivers, seen the outcome, where should you go next? If you haven't read it, go back and look at our HBR, November-December issue of HBR. It's called Is Your Marketing Organization Ready for What's Next? And if you've read, perhaps read it again, given the context of this talk. If you're interested in benchmarking your organizations on the 6 dimensions of value that I presented earlier, the 3 customer dimensions of value and the 3 firm dimensions of value, strategic, operational, and knowledge value from the firm side, exchange, experience, and engagement from the customer side, you can go to our site. It's marcaps.com/research, and you'll get a free benchmark. You don't have to pay for it. It's a benchmark report. It adds to the data, gets a richer understanding of what drives value, enables us to come back and make presentations that you can learn from. Again, we don't do analysis at the individual firm level. It's only at the aggregate level. If you have any questions, shoot an email to my colleague Shubhu at marcaps.com, and he'll be happy to respond. And what this allows you to do is to give you a benchmark of fitness or marketing capabilities for your organization, and you can do it relative to others. It will also enable you to sort of go back and look at what capabilities do we have that are not important. Where are we investing? Are we doing really well on things that are unimportant? which case we need to harvest, take those resources and align them elsewhere. Are we doing well on things that matter? So we need to sustain. Also, are there capabilities that we lack right now, we do perform poorly, that are really important for the future, that we need to strengthen and build and allocate resources towards those kinds of activities also the benchmark report would give you. So it's very useful sort of device, and it can guide you in those directions. So again, go to that site, markapps.com/research to get that. So thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity, and I hope you learned what winning marketing organizations are. And this is based on research, deep research, rich data, and strong analysis of the data, and that's what we essentially find as to what it takes to become a winning marketing organization. So thank you very much.